On my 75th birthday, I set 5 plates, warmed the bread twice, and ate alone at 10. At midnight, my phone lit up 3 charges in my name: a luxury resort, plane tickets, thousands gone. I stared at the video, my daughter laughing in the sun, my grandson splashing in the ocean, all on my dime while I sat in silence with cold chicken. My hands trembled, but my voice didn't. I looked my son-in-law in the eye and said, "You didn't borrow, you stole." And when the judge's gavel came down, the truth rang louder than their excuses. For the first time in years, I was not their victim. I was free. They thought my silence was permanent. They forgot silence is just the inhale before the voice returns.
Mrs. Evelyn, thank you for sharing your story with us. I'm sure many will learn from it. Are you ready?
Sure.
On my 75th birthday, I set 5 plates, warmed the bread twice, and ate alone at 10. At midnight, my phone lit up with a fraud alert I didn't ask for and showed me fireworks bursting over an ocean I wasn't invited to, paid with my card, my name, my life. I'm Evelyn Parker. I cooked for 32 years in the basement kitchen of Mercy General, eggs at 4 a.m., meatloaf by 10, trays labeled with room numbers and allergies in red marker. I raised one daughter, Marissa, after my husband, Robert, slipped away in a winter that would not let go. I bought this little brick house in Detroit the year the auto plant shut down and half my block left. I kept it with double shifts and coupons and a coffee jar labeled taxes. I kept myself with stronger coffee and church on Sundays. I taught my hands to keep going even when my bones didn't want to. I gave because that is what mothers do. I gave until the habit felt like breathing. For 10 years after Robert, I was the emergency contact, the free babysitter, the bank that didn't charge interest and never closed. When Marissa wanted to finish her real estate license, I watched Noah 3 evenings a week and typed her flashcards even though my wrists burned. When her car coughed its last breath on Gradiate, I co-signed the small used Honda with the good tires. When the basement flooded, I paid the plumber cash because he gives a discount when it's not a card. And because sometimes a daughter shouldn't have to feel the bill pressed down on her throat. I don't say this to keep score. I say it so you understand what I had already given before the birthday with the empty chairs. It started in February. Marissa came over with a new planner and a new smile. She said she and her husband, Caleb, had a surprise for my 75th. "Somewhere warm, Mama. You've earned it." She named islands I'd only seen on postcards behind the pharmacy counter. She talked about a bundle rate only good that week. Caleb nodded like a salesman who already had the signature. "Just need your ID for the senior discount, Mom," he said, "and the card to hold the reservation, better price if it's the passenger of record. We'll pay it off as we go." I remember blinking at that phrase, passenger of record, like it belonged to a language only young people speak. They had answers ready for every little frown in my brow. "We'll manage the booking," Marissa said. "You won't have to lift a finger. You just pack your church hat and your sandals." She kissed my forehead. "I want to see you in the sun." I wanted to believe that more than I wanted anything else. I wanted to be the version of myself that fit in their story. I wanted to be chosen, not tolerated. I wanted a week where the only schedule I followed was the tide. They took a photo of my driver's license for the discount, added my card to secure the block, and told me the dates would line up with the first weekend in June. "Perfect for your birthday," Marissa sang, tapping her phone like music lived in the glass. I bought a suitcase the color of raspberries. I set it by the front door like a promise with wheels. I tucked Robertson, Christopher medal inside the zippered pocket because old habits thread themselves through hope. I folded a white linen blouse I'd never worn. I put in my wide brim hat with the ribbon. Every Saturday, I added one small thing to the case, the way you water a plant and expect green. A week before June, Caleb called. "Minor shift," he said. "The resort's redoing the pool. We're pushing 2 weeks. You're going to love this one better anyway." I said okay because I have lived long enough to know nothing stays exactly where you place it. I asked if we were still doing dinner on my birthday then. He said, "Of course," like insult was impossible. On the morning of my 75th, I woke at 5 the way I always have. I set the coffee to perk and played the Motown station soft enough to make the kitchen feel like it remembered me. I made chicken, the way Robert liked it, dredged twice. I baked macaroni until the edges took a little brown. I cut collard I'd cleaned the night before and simmered them with smoked turkey and onion. I set out the lemon pound cake I'd made after church on Wednesday. I laid the good tablecloth, the one with the stitched corners my mother started, and I finished when her eyes went dim. By 4, the house smelled like memory. By 5, the food was steady on low. By 6, I was watching the street. By 7, I sent a text I'd practiced to sound light. "You too close," Marissa replied at 7:14. "Running behind, Mom, save us plates." At 8, I switched the burners off. At 9, the frosting on the cake had turned a little glossy. At 10, I ate a thigh and a spoon of macaroni and put my fork down because it tasted like something I used to have. Noah texted at 10:22, a heart and the words, "Happy B-Day, Grandma. Love you, no photo, no call." I stared at that heart like it could explain what his parents were doing with my evening. I cleaned without noise. I wrapped the chicken in foil, slid the pans into the fridge, and washed the good plates one by one. The house made old house sounds, settling, sighing, the gentle complaint of wood remembering footsteps that didn't come. I took a bath. I put on my soft robe with the careful sleeves. I made chamomile tea and held it for warmth more than taste. At 11:53, my phone buzzed with a message I hadn't seen before. "High-value transaction detected," it said from the bank. It listed BAHAMAR Resort Nassau and an amount that made my scalp prickle, $3,842.16. The timestamp said 11:49 p.m. I stared at my own name underneath the charge. The phone showed my card last 4 digits like they might comfort me. Reply Y if authorized, N if not. I pressed N and my thumb shook, and the screen asked if I wanted to freeze the card. I pressed freeze and then sat very still, like my stillness could hold back what was already moving. A second buzz. Delta Airlines 2 tickets, $1,099.50. Then a third. Ocean Experience Package, $2,400. The phone lit up like a slot machine with my money in its mouth. I don't move quick in the evenings. Blood gets slow, knees remember stairs and complain, but I was on my feet in a way I hadn't been in years. I went to my purse and pulled out the paper envelope where I keep the things I don't want to scroll for. I took out my debit card, my Medicare card, my tiny notebook with doctor appointments, my Social Security letter with the ink still crisp. I sat down with all of it like a woman braces her hands on a table during an earthquake. The front door knocked then, soft, 3 taps. I pulled the curtain and saw Denise from across the street. Denise, who runs the morning shift at CVS and never comes over late unless something's off. I opened the door and she held up her phone like a little lantern. "You okay, Miss Parker?" she asked. I saw something I don't like. "What?" I managed. She bit her lip and turned her phone so I could see. A video, bright and noisy, palm trees and blue water, Marissa in a straw hat and white dress laughing into the wind while Caleb filmed her. The caption from her Instagram read, "Finally family time. No stress, all sun." Noah splashed behind them, thin and tall now, older than I keep him in my head, hair full of salt in July, even though it was June. Fireworks cracked over water so clear you could see the bottoms of other people's wishes. Denise pinched and zoomed. "Look there," she said gently. On Marissa's wrist, a bracelet catching the light, gold, thin, not cheap. The same one I had once told her I liked in the window at Carmichael and Sons when we went to refill my prescriptions. "Maybe one day," ID said, not thinking about days that disappear. "It was posted an hour ago," Denise whispered. "I only saw it because my niece follows your grandson. I thought maybe you knew." I kept my face calm because sometimes self-respect is the only thing you can control in a room. I thanked Denise. I told her I was fine. I told her I would call the bank in the morning. When she left, I put the chain on the door. I sat on the edge of my chair and breathed the way the nurse taught me after the pneumonia. 3 short, 1 long, let the lungs remember air. I didn't sleep. I watched the ceiling fan carry the night around in circles. At 6:01, I called the number on the back of my card. The young man at the bank spoke fast and sweet. He told me he could freeze the card, already done, and dispute the charges, already started when I pressed and he asked if anyone else had access. "Authorized users," he said like it was the most normal thing. I told him my daughter had used my card with my permission to book a trip I was supposed to be on. I told him I did not authorize being left at my own table. He cleared his throat. He offered to note the account. He offered a new card by express mail. He asked about my online banking. I said I didn't use it much. He suggested I check the last 90 days. He said it would give me peace of mind. But peace doesn't come from a screen. It comes from the truth, and the truth burns before it warms. I turned on my old laptop. It wheezed like a sleeping dog and then woke up with a hum I could feel under my palms. I logged in by guessing twice, and then remembering the small thing Marissa had once told me, capitalized the E. The homepage queued up all the little blue numbers we are supposed to feel are our lives. I clicked checking. I clicked view all. The list unfurled like a rug someone had been hiding stains on. March 3, ACH transfer to CJ Homes LLC, $4 500. March 14, Zelle payment to M. Parker, but not my email, $800. March 29, Apple Cash add $1000. April 7, Southwest 2 tickets, $719.58. May 2, Carmichael and Sons Jewelers, $789. Notes, anniversary gift. The line said as if a lie printed small took up less space. There were deposits, sure, my pension, my social security, the little tax refund. But like a tide that never cared, the outgoing kept coming. Small ones too, the ones that look like life, $59, 99 subscriptions I never subscribed to, $24.99 for an app, $12.47 at a smoothie place I've never heard of. A parade of taking dressed up as errands. I clicked savings and my mouth went dry. In January, I had $18,440.73. At 6 a.m. on my birthday, I had $7,920.12. The math sat there plain and rude. I didn't need a calculator to know what was missing. It was the roof fund. It was the new boiler. It was my winter. It was my dignity with a line item. I called Marissa. She declined the first call. She texted 2 words, boarding now. I waited 30 minutes because a mother waits even after the truth finishes its sentence. I called again. This time, she answered like my voice was the thing interrupting the ocean. "Mom, we're at the airport," she said, laughter behind her, an announcement about seat belts, Caleb saying, "Babe, hurry." "Whose money paid for it?" I asked, not loud, not shaking, just putting my foot on the floor inside my own house. "What?" She tried to sound innocent. It rang false in my ear. "Your vacation. Whose money bought it?" "Mama, we told you." "You told me I was coming." A silence, not long, just long enough to hear the truth asking to be invited in. "It was complicated," she said. "You get tired with travel. The last thing we wanted was you feeling sick on your birthday. We thought it was kinder." "To lie?" I asked. "Kinder to lie and use my card." "We'll pay it back," she snapped, and there it was, the edge you can't cover with soft words. Caleb's business is about to blow up. He needed to take a client call on site. It worked out to bring Noah, cheaper if we flew this week. The sale was time-limited, Mom. We couldn't wait. "Cheaper for whom?" I said. "Because it cost me my sleep, my savings, and the last of my pretending." She exhaled like I was a stubborn stain. "We can talk when we're home." I looked at the walls I had painted with my own hands. I looked at the photo of Robert fishing in his Brown's hat. I looked at the suitcase by the door, raspberry and ridiculous. "I'll be here," I said, "but what you put back won't be money." I hung up and put the kettle on because grief always needs something to hold. I sat with the steam on my face and let myself be old and furious at the same time. There is a myth about elders that our anger is a childish thing, a tantrum with gray hair. No, mine was clean. Mine was the kind that comes when you see the price tag on your kindness and it has someone else's name on the receipt. I didn't scream, I made a list. Old cooks do that, we prep when the hungry are still asleep. I wrote call bank fraud department and underlined it. I wrote replace debit card and close Zelle. I wrote credit freeze Experian/Equifax/TransUnion. I wrote power of attorney, no. I wrote talk to someone who knows the law but doesn't sell it. Then I circled someone who knows until the pen went through the paper. By noon, the doorbell rang, not Denise this time. It was Mr. Han from 3 houses down, the one with the quiet voice and the firm handshake, the one who runs the print shop near the courthouse. He stood on my porch with a brown envelope. "Miss Parker," he said, "I came to drop the church flyers for choir night. Also, my niece volunteers at Eldorade at the Jefferson Community Center. They help with situations." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. It hung between us like a picture frame, waiting for a photograph you don't want. "Leave me the number," I said. My voice surprised me. It sounded like Robert's when the plumber tried to round his quote up in front of me. It sounded like someone who had had enough and still had something left. He wrote the name and the number on the back of a menu from Golden Dragon and slid it over like it might bite. "Ask for Carmen," he said. "She's a paralegal, not a lawyer. That's good. She'll tell you the steps without the price." After he left, I put the number under a magnet shaped like a pear. I made myself a sandwich I didn't want and ate half because a woman my age can't do war on an empty stomach. Then I sat at the table with the brown envelope from Mr. Hand pressed flat like a placemat. I took out a legal pad I keep for grocery bargains and wrote the date at the top like I used to do on the whiteboard in the hospital kitchen. June 7. My 75th year started with a quiet house and a loud truth. My child had used my name the way thieves use a window that doesn't latch. In the afternoon, I went room to room, not to tidy, not to collect, but to remind. I touched the picture frames. I opened the closet where Robert's Sunday suit still hangs, even though I have promised myself a dozen times to give it to the men's mission. I put my hand on the raspberry suitcase and zipped it closed, not because I was going anywhere, but because I decide when to open and close the things I own. At 5, my phone buzzed again. A text from Caleb: "We'll square everything when we're back. Don't do anything dramatic." He added a thumbs up that felt like a shove. I typed back, "Everything you think is dramatic is just me finally using my voice." I deleted it. Instead, I wrote, "We'll talk. Safe travels." Then I put the phone face down because I have learned that some screens are just small windows where your dignity can fall out if you lean too far. Evening came. The house glowed the way it does when the sun swings low and forgives you for everything you didn't finish. I turned the porch light on for myself, not for anyone else. I stepped outside to the small concrete step where I have drank more tea than I can count, where I have watched winters break and summers arrive late. A boy on a bike waved. Somewhere 2 streets over, someone grilled ribs. Somewhere far away, my money-bought dessert. I pressed my palm against the railing. "Robert," I said out loud, because grief teaches you to talk to the air, "I'm going to fix this without breaking myself." And then, because I am still my mother's daughter, I went inside and washed the last good plate until it squeaked. I put it back in the cabinet where it belongs. I dried my hands. I looked at the magnet with the number under the pear. I picked up the phone. I did not sleep much after that day. Sleep is too soft for a woman who has just seen her life turned into receipts with other people's names. I sat up in my chair most of the night with the lamp on, a notebook open, and my pen tapping against the paper like it could beat time back into order. By 7 the next morning, I called the number Mr. Han had given me. A young voice answered, quick and professional, "Eldorado Community Legal Desk, this is Carmen." I cleared my throat. "This is Evelyn Parker. I was told to call you about situations." She didn't laugh. She didn't make me feel foolish for not knowing the right words. She just asked, "Do you have 10 minutes to tell me what happened?" So I told her, not everything, not yet, but enough. The card, the trip, the account drains, the savings that had melted down by half. My daughter's name, my son-in-law's business excuse, the Instagram videos that tasted like vinegar. She listened without interrupting. When I stopped, she said, "First, I'm sorry. Second, you are not alone. And third, we can fix a lot more of this than you think, but you have to be willing to put your name first. Can you do that?" I swallowed. I have spent 75 years putting my name second, third, or not at all. I can try. "Good," she said. "Here's what we'll do. We'll freeze all lines of credit. We'll pull your credit report. We'll revoke any powers of attorney if you've signed them." "I haven't," I said sharply. "Good, then we'll set up a new bank account, clean, in only your name. No joint, no authorized users. We'll reroute your pension and social security to that account. And we'll start a paper trail. You keep every notice, every bill, every text. If they try again, we'll have evidence." I wrote every word down in my notebook. My hand cramped, but I didn't stop. "Now," Carmen said, "this next part is optional, but I recommend it. File a police report for financial exploitation. It doesn't matter if you want them arrested or not. The report creates a record. That record protects you if they try anything else, like taking out loans in your name." The thought of walking into the precinct made my chest heavy, but the thought of Caleb buying another flight with my card made it heavier. "All right," I said. We met that afternoon at the Jefferson Community Center. She was younger than I expected, late 30s maybe, but sharp, with hair pulled back and eyes that didn't flinch. She spread out forms across the table like a teacher with a lesson plan. Here's your credit freeze request. Here's your new bank packet. Here's the police report template. You tell the truth in plain words, don't soften it. I filled in the blanks slowly, my handwriting uneven. At describe incident, I wrote, daughter and son-in-law used my credit card and accounts without permission to fund personal vacation. I was excluded. I did not authorize. The words looked small compared to the weight behind them, but they were mine. By evening, the first wall was up. The bank confirmed the freezes. The police stamped my report. Carmen said she'd follow up in a week. I went home tired, but not defeated. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like the passenger of someone else's decisions. 3 days later, Caleb showed up. No knock, just his voice booming through my front door like he owned the hinges. Mama E, he said, using the name he puts on birthday cards when he wants to sound close. We need to talk. I was folding laundry. I didn't stand. What about? He stepped in, smelling like cologne too strong for morning. My card stopped working. My business account is frozen. Every wire I try bounces back. What the hell did you do? I set the towel down. I protected myself. He laughed without humor. Protected? You just sabotaged me. You know how hard I've been grinding to get this company off the ground. You cut the legs out from under me. You cut them yourself, I said evenly. I just stopped paying for the saw. He shook his head, pacing. Marissa's distraught. Noah doesn't understand why his grandmother is punishing us. Do you want your grandson thinking you're cruel? I looked at him until he finally stopped pacing. Do you want him knowing you stole from his grandmother? Because that's what happened. His jaw tightened. It was temporary, a loan. Family helps family. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't leave me on my 75th birthday with cold chicken while they drink cocktails on a beach with my money. That's not family. That's theft. His voice rose. You're blowing this out of proportion. We were going to pay it back. With what? I asked. Empty promises? Caleb, I may be old, but I can still read numbers. You drained $10,000 in 5 months. That's not a loan. That's leeching. He slammed his hand against the counter. The sound echoed. You'll regret this. When you're alone and need help, don't come crawling. I didn't flinch. I've been alone before. I survived it then. I'll survive it now. What I won't survive is being treated like a purse that never closes. He muttered something under his breath and stormed out, the door rattling on its frame. I sat back down, finished folding my towel, and placed it neatly in the basket. Order matters, even when the world outside is chaos. 2 weeks later, Marissa came. Alone. She stood on my porch, eyes puffy, hair unbrushed. She looked younger than she had in years, like the girl who used to sit on the counter and eat cake batter before it baked. Mom, she said softly, can we talk? I let her in. She sat at the table, hands twisting. I didn't know Caleb had used so much. I thought he was handling the bills. He said you agreed. I stared at her. Did you believe that, or did you want to? Her eyes filled. I wanted to, because it was easier than asking, easier than seeing the truth. I didn't want to think of him stealing from you. Wanting is not the same as not knowing, I said. She looked down. You're right, and I'm sorry. I can't undo it, but I don't want to lose you. Something in me softened, but not enough to bend. You already lost my trust. That's heavier than losing me. She nodded slowly, then let me earn it back. I didn't answer. Instead, I slid a piece of paper across the table. Read it. She unfolded it. It was the draft of my new will. It named the women's shelter as my sole beneficiary. It left nothing to Marissa, nothing to Caleb, nothing to Noah except my Bible and Robert's fishing rod. She gasped, Mom. I raised a hand. This is not punishment. This is clarity. I won't leave my years of labor in hands that see me as an ATM. I'll leave it where women like me can breathe. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Does this mean there's no hope? It means the next chapter is yours to write, but my legacy will not be built on your excuses. She cried quietly. I let her. Then she folded the paper back and placed it on the table with care, as if it were fragile glass. I understand, she whispered. When she left, the house felt both emptier and lighter. The weeks that followed were a strange kind of calm. I met with Carmen twice more. She helped me recover some of the stolen funds, not all, but enough to cover my winter. She connected me with a financial advisor who didn't talk down to me, who explained interest rates and safe accounts in plain words. I learned how to check my balances online. I learned how to set alerts that come to me, not to Marissa. I learned that even at 75, you can become the guardian of your own story again. And I made a plan, not revenge, justice. A mother's justice, measured, deliberate, undeniable. Because Caleb and Marissa thought they could use me and then smooth it over with apologies. They thought my silence was permanent. They forgot silence is just the inhale before the voice returns. And mine was coming back strong. The day my plan ripened was a Tuesday. Tuesdays are plain days, steady, not flashy, good for truth. I dressed simple, the way I always do, navy blouse, gray skirt, sturdy shoes. I took the folder Carmen had helped me prepare, thick with copies, bank statements, the police report, Caleb's company filings, even screenshots of Marissa's smiling posts from the beach. Each page a stone in a wall they couldn't climb. I walked into the courthouse with that folder pressed against my ribs. My knees complained at the marble steps, but I told them not today. At the clerk's window, I filed a petition for elder financial exploitation and requested restitution. The woman behind the glass didn't blink. She slid me forms, stamped the date, and gave me a docket number. Numbers mean weight in this world. I carried that number home like armor. Within a week, Caleb got his notice. I know because he stormed into my yard, waving papers like torches. "You dragged me into court," he shouted. I didn't step off the porch. "No, Caleb, you dragged yourself. I just gave the judge a flashlight." He cursed, loud enough for neighbors to hear. Denise from across the street folded her arms at her window. Mr. Hand stood on his porch, silent, watching. Caleb saw the eyes and lowered his voice. "You'll ruin us," he hissed. "You ruined yourself when you used me like an ATM," I said. "This is just the receipt." He left, tires screeching, pride leaking like oil on asphalt. The hearing was set for late July. I sat in the front row with Carmen by my side. She whispered instructions in my ear. Answer simple. Don't volunteer more. Let the papers speak. The judge, a woman with hair whiter than mine and glasses perched low, read through the folder page by page. Caleb tried to talk circles, calling it family assistance, temporary borrowing, a misunderstanding. Marissa sat beside him, pale, her hands tight in her lap. When the judge asked me if I wanted to speak, I stood slow, every year in my spine, but my voice steady. I worked 32 years serving food in a hospital basement. I raised a daughter alone. I saved dollar by dollar. On my 75th birthday, I ate alone while my money flew my family to a beach. They said it was for me. It was. They lied. They drained my accounts. They left me with cold chicken and silence. That's not assistance. That's theft. And I want it to stop. The room was still. Even Caleb shut his mouth. The judge nodded once, sharp. Petition granted. Restitution ordered. Defendant barred from managing petitioner's finances. All accounts to remain in petitioner's name only. Any violation will result in criminal charges. The gavel cracked like thunder. I sat back down, hands trembling, but it wasn't fear. It was release. Caleb never paid a dime willingly. The court garnished his wages instead. Every month, a small slice of his paycheck came into my account, labeled restitution. Watching that word pop up on my statement felt like medicine, bitter, but healing. Marissa came by less often. When she did, her voice was softer, stripped of excuses. She brought groceries once, not fancy, just bread and milk. She set them on the counter without asking for thanks. That was new. Noah came on his own one Saturday. He was taller than the doorframe now, voice deeper, awkward in the way boys are when they're halfway to men. He hugged me, tight, and whispered, "I didn't know, Grandma. I thought you didn't want to come." I held his shoulders and looked him in the eyes. "The truth is heavier than lies, baby. Don't carry theirs, make your own." He nodded, blinking fast, and for the first time I saw my grandson, not just their son. On my 76th birthday, I did not set a table for ghosts. I rented the community center hall and invited the people who had stood with me when silence tried to drown me: Denise, Mr. Han, Carmen, the ladies from church who slipped notes under my door. Tyrell, the boy who always carried my bags, brought balloons. We ate fried chicken and collard. but this time the plates were full and the laughter was loud. I wore a gold scarf around my shoulders, not because it was expensive, but because it was mine, chosen by me, not borrowed through lies. Halfway through the evening, Marissa walked in. Alone. She held a simple card, no glitter, no excuses. She waited at the door until I nodded. Then she came forward, placed the card in my hand, and whispered, "I'm trying, Mom." I looked at her, my only child, the one I had given everything for. I did not forgive her that instant. Trust doesn't return like flipping a switch. But I did something small, something steady. I pulled out a chair. "Sit," I said. She did, quietly. And for the first time in a long time, we were in the same room without lies standing between us. That night, after the music faded and the hall emptied, I went home to my little brick house. I sat on the porch with a cup of tea, the street lamps humming, the summer air soft. I thought about Robert, about the years I had bent myself into giving, about the moment I finally stood up straight, about how justice, when claimed, doesn't make you young again, but it does make you whole. I am 76 now. My money is mine. My voice is mine. My legacy will not be stolen. It will be planted where women like me can grow again. And if my family wants to be part of it, they will come as givers, not takers. Because the truth is simple. I may have eaten alone on my 75th birthday, but I will never eat alone again, unless I choose to. And that choice at last is mine.